We like to send Josie out on the streets often for stories that help you live your life your way. This time, though, the assignment takes her off the ground.
If we lived in Florida, we'd be after our scuba certification, Tim. But since we don't have the waters of the Caribbean surrounding us to splash around in, why not play in the sky? With the influence of the aviation company Rockwell Collins in our backyards, some eastern Iowans are taking flight to earn their pilot's license. Terry Turnbull places the blame on her husband, a retired helicopter pilot with the service.
He's kind of the one that got me into this, so we fly.
An outside industrial sales rep, Terry says their flights typically take the two to family functions in the Des Moines area. But they've also soared over a major water source.
The Mississippi River and flown over the Mississippi.
So you can pretty much go anywhere, and people will go all around the state, all around the country. They'll fly down to the Bahamas for the weekend, up to Canada, fishing.
Tim Bush, owner of the Iowa Flight School and program manager for Rockwell Collins Government Systems, equates earning a private pilot's license to driver's ed.
It's not really dramatically difficult, as a lot of people imagine, but it does take time. It does take some study.
Anyone who passes a physical from an FAA doctor can attempt to earn their private pilot's license at age 17. Training can start earlier. It involves 40 hours of flight training, split between solo flights and those with an instructor, and you must score 70% or higher on a written test. We'll address the classroom work later. And then where am I going to...
You just take your left foot and just slide it all the way down. We'll go out in the Benton County area and practice a little bit, let you do some turning, left and right, climbing, descending.
To showcase the simplicity of piloting, after checking the craft to make sure it's air ready, according to federal aviation guidelines, Bush put me at the controls and I taxied down the runway. This is a leg workout.
Yeah.
And similar to driving, I tried to stay not in the lines, but on the line. The key is to build up momentum on the runway. And we're off the ground.
There is something about being up in the air. There's a lot of free space up there. You don't see a lot of other people.
The pedals work like a kayak to steer the plane. After a couple of right and left turns and ascensions, we headed back down.
Up. You got a really good shot. That was nice.
The landing much more smooth than the liftoff.
If you have the desire to do it, you can do it. There's nothing extraordinarily difficult about it.
Terry, though, echoes my sentiments. The first time is a little overwhelming.
You just have so much to do all the time.
And there is a lot of aviation information to digest. Tomorrow, Tim will share the studying involved and how much you'll be taking out of your piggy bank to be a pilot.
By the time 2008 hits, you could be a pilot, weather permitting. As Josie began telling us last night in a special two-part Your Life Your Way, you can live some of your life in the sky.
You can, Tim, with an instructor by your side for the first 20 hours of flight training. But there's some work to be done with your feet on the ground before you can start flashing that private pilot's license. Typically, an adult with a full-time job takes 6 months to obtain their license. You met flight student Terry Turnbull last night, logging hours to join the 3,000 privately licensed pilots in Iowa, 300,000 in the U.S. The outside industrial sales rep, wife and mother of two, is about halfway through her training.
It's just something I had never done before, and so first couple chapters of the book were extremely difficult to get through.
If they could get a chapter done a week, I'd be really happy with that.
Terry just likes to fly at night too much.
In the classroom, the focus is on basic aerodynamics, how the controls in airspace work, FAA rules and regulations, and cross-country flight planning.
They're really getting a lot of information in a short period of time.
And isn't any more difficult than pre-9/11. TSA now verifies U.S. citizenship with birth certificates or passports. For foreign nationals, there's a registration process. As for the cost, think of it in terms of other recreational hobbies.
It's about the same investment as a jet ski. Well, that can be, $4,000, $5,000, $6,000.
The minimum is usually right over $5,000. The average, just over $6,000. The majority of the cost for your plane rentals and flight instructor. For Terry and her husband, flying replaced motocross.
My husband had spent X amount of dollars on that, and so basically it was just money that was already spent on some type of entertainment, so he transferred it over to flying.
For double the adrenaline rush, because this he shares in the air with his wife, minus the 2 kids.
Just don't pull the plane over and, threaten to pull the plane over and let them out.
And Bush says, don't worry if you don't have your own plane. Did you have your own car when you started to drive? There are flight clubs, Tim, where you can rent one, like the Turnbulls do by the hour.